The rain tasted like ash. It clung to the brim of my fedora, tripped down my collar, and pooled in the grimy alley between O'Malley's bar and the Majestic Theatre. October in New Harbour always felt like the city was weeping, and tonight the city was mourning Frankie the Finch Ferrara. Ferrara had been found slumped over his desk at the back of the Majestic, a single bullet hole precisely between his eyes. Clean, professional, the kind of work that screamed message. "Anything, Riley?" I asked my partner, a kid fresh out of the academy with a face full of textbook procedures and a soul that hadn't been scarred by the city's underbelly yet. Riley chewed on his lip, his flashlight beam dancing over the opulent, now stained office. Security says the back door was locked from the inside. No forced entry. The Finch was expecting someone who brought a .38. The Majestic was a gilded cage, a haven for New Harbour's elite and its shadows. The Finch, a small-time numbers runner with aspirations, had wormed his way in, greasing palms and collecting debts. He was a footnote in a larger, darker story, and now he was a corpse. "Talk to Marlene Dietrich," I said, not bothering to explain why. Dietrich ran the Majestic. She owned the city's pulse and its secrets. She also looked stunning in a crimson gown, even when knee-deep in a murder investigation. Marlene regarded me with eyes as cold and glittering as diamonds. Detective Harding, always a pleasure. Frankie was ambitious. He ruffled feathers. "Whose feathers?" She gestured to a plush velvet chair. "Sit, detective. Some people don't appreciate being reminded they are not at the top of the food chain." The list was long. Alderman Davies, who owed the Finch a substantial sum. Victor Morty, a rival racketeer whose territory the Finch was encroaching upon. And then there was Isabella Rossi, the Finch's special friend, a woman whose beauty masked a dangerous cunning. I started with Davies. The alderman swore he was at a poker game all night, and his alibi checked out. Morty was slippery, claiming to be out of town on business, a flimsy excuse that smelled of deceit. But it was Rossi who truly piqued my interest. Isabella Rossi was a creature of exquisite contradictions. She wore silk gowns and wielded influence with a smile, but her eyes held the haunted look of a woman who's seen too much. "He was a good man, detective," she said, her voice a smoky whisper. "He wanted to make a difference. Did he tell you who wanted him dead?" She hesitated, a flicker of fear crossing her face. "He mentioned something about a ledger, a list of names." "A ledger, a list of names." That sounded like trouble, real trouble. The Finch's office was meticulously searched, but the ledger was nowhere to be found. Riley, bless his earnestness, was convinced it was hidden in plain sight. I wasn't so sure. I figured someone had already taken it. Then Riley found something. A small, ornate music box tucked away in a drawer. It played a haunting melody, a tune I vaguely recognized. "This is it, Harding," Riley said, excitement bubbling in his voice. "This is how they found him. The melody. It's a signal." A signal. It took me a moment to understand. The Finch hadn't been expecting a killer. He's been expecting a message. A music box was the key. I recognized the melody now. It was a coded message used by the Silver Serpents, a shadowy organization involved in smuggling and extortion. They were bigger than Morty, bigger than Davies. They were the puppeteers of New Harbour's criminal underworld. The Finch had stumbled onto something he shouldn't have. He's been compiling a list of names, the Silver Serpents operations, their collaborators, their dirty secrets. And now he's paid the ultimate price. "The ledger isn't hidden, Harding," Riley said, his face pale. "It's a bigger game than we thought." I knew he was right. This wasn't just about her numbers runner's death. This was about exposing a network of corruption that reached the highest echelons of New Harbour society. My investigation led me back to Marlene Dietrich. She's been holding something back, I could feel it. "Marlene," I said, my voice low and hard, "you know more than you're letting on." She sighed, the glitter leaving her eyes. "The Silver Serpents are powerful, detective. They control everything. Who's leading them?" She hesitated, then whispered a name. "Silas Thorne." Silas Thorne, the city's most respected philanthropist, a man lauded for his generosity and civic engagement. A wolf in sheep's clothing. I knew Thorne wouldn't be expecting a visit. I brought Riley along, a necessary formality in dealing with a man of Thorne's stature. Thorne greeted us with a practiced smile, his eyes cold and assessing. His mansion was a monument to opulence, a stark contrast to the squalor that festered in the city's back alleys. "Detective Harding, what an unexpected pleasure," Thorne said, his voice smooth as silk. "Mr. Thorne, we'd like to ask you a few questions about Frankie Ferrara's death." Thorne's smile faltered, just for a fraction of a second. Frankie? A tragic loss. I barely knew the man. I played my cards carefully, letting Riley handle the procedural niceties while I focused on Thorne's reaction. We believe Mr. Ferrara was in possession of a ledger, Mr. Thorne, a ledger containing sensitive information. Thorne's eyes narrowed, his composure cracking. He tried to maintain his facade, but the tremor in his hand betrayed him. Suddenly, a gunshot ripped through the air. Riley toppled to the floor, a crimson stain blossoming on his chest. Thorne stood frozen, a smoking pistol in his hand. "You shouldn't have come, Detective," Thorne said, his voice devoid of emotion. "Some secrets are best left buried." The rain outside intensified, mirroring the storm that raged within me. I was trapped, outnumbered, facing a man who controlled the city's levers of power. But I wasn't beaten. Not yet. As Thorne's guards moved in, I noticed something. A tiny, almost imperceptible detail. A music box identical to the one found in Ferrara's office sat on Thorne's desk, playing the same haunting melody. Thorne had used the music box as a signal. He's been planning this whole one. He's been playing me. But he's made one crucial mistake. He underestimated my resolve. I lunged forward, disarming Thorne. A brief, brutal struggle ensued. I managed to knock him to the ground, wrestling the gun from his grasp. "It's over, Thorne," I said, my voice strained. But as I looked up, I saw a figure silhouetted against the rain-lashed window. A woman with eyes as cold and glittering as diamonds. Marlene Dietrich. She smiled, a chilling expression of triumph. "Not quite, Detective," she said, her voice dripping with venom. "The game isn't over. It's just begun." The rain continued to fall, washing the grime and blood from the streets of New Harbor, but it couldn't wash away the truth. The city was rotten to the core, and I was just a lone detective caught in a web of corruption that stretched far beyond my reach. I knew one thing for sure. My investigation was far from over, and somewhere a ledger was still waiting to be found.